Last one, guys. Baltimore Ravens, of course, coming off the 1 seed in the AFC, obviously, and they, of course, blew it in the AFC Championship. But how is their roster looking going into 24? I'll tell you. Final roster grades tier week starts tonight, I guess. Yeah, either way, though, let's go. Ravens 2024 roster grades. Roster grades finale. And with that, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the NFL. Of course, please like and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoy the final team roster grades. We will be going through, of course, prior to the 2020-2025 NFL season. Obviously, that being the AFC #1 seed from last year and the AFC North champion, Baltimore Ravens. Of course, they flopped to get, even though Lamar won his second MVP, which is something that not really many NFL players can really ever say. Of course, specifically quarterbacks, but again, last team will be getting into tier week. That starts tonight. Again, this game, this video obviously is purposely put at 1 o'clock because 2 weeks from right now, basically, if you're watching this when it comes out, NFL season's going to start. For some, like most of the teams, we'll obviously get the Friday game, whatever. We'll get the week 1 preview when we get there. Either way, though, final roster grade. Obviously, the Ravens have Lamar Jackson quarterback. He's won 2 MVPs. He deserved it last year, to say the least. He had his best year by far as a passer. Threw for what is called the most passing yards in his career, of course, 3,600. Again, if he played it the last game, probably would have gotten 4,000, I would say so. Again, he had some massive games that really boosted up that passer rating, and I'm not the biggest fan of passer rating really at all in any way or form, but yeah, that's what he's got. He's 8 yards per attempt. That isn't really too indicative of it, but yeah, that's what he got. Highest completion percentage of his career as well, as the fact that he had 24 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. But overall, again, as a runner, he was also very explosive as usual. Only a 30-yard was his longest, though, which, again, is not what you're seeing there. Either way, though, yeah, Lamar, again, fastest quarterback in the NFL, probably the most athletic, too. Again, the best, scrambling or running quarterback in the history of the league at this point, I guess. He's that good. But obviously, he has had struggles getting over the hump in the playoffs. He's won just 2 playoff games in his 5-year starting career, or 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, yeah. 23, 6 years, whatever. Two playoff ones is just, it's not good enough. Again, they got the 1 seed for the second time in his career, and they failed to get to the Super Bowl, which, again, it doesn't seem like anything too wild, but considering the opportunities they've had, it's kind of been frustrating. John Harbaugh is a big factor in that as well, but overall, again, Lamar, he's got to win. He's got to get that Super Bowl. I'm just telling you right now, people are going to really, really take him seriously. Josh Johnson is back. Was a very interesting way to go. He is, he's not afraid to throw the ball, obviously, hunk it around. He actually started the Ravens back in 2021. He had that 1 start. He did pretty well, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception in that game. Kind of like filled him admirably. I just played for the Jets and did some stuff as well. But again, ever since he blew out his shoulder against the Eagles in the division round, really hasn't gotten any playing time since. Devin Leary, he was pretty good for NC State. He was kind of bad last year for Kentucky, but again, considering he reads the field pretty darn well, and he's also very good under pressure, that kind of kept isn't keeping the league. I think he'll be a good backup though. Emory Jones, former Cincinnati Bearcat, and what is it called? Florida Gator quarterback. What is it called? My favorite team, Oklahoma. They played him a couple times, and then I remember UConn played him, and he doesn't scare me at all. I'd be surprised if he made their roster. Again, UDFA there. Either way, though, quarterback will give them an A. Lamar is absolutely a top 5 quarterback at the very least, so I mean that's going to give him an A. It's not an A+ though, because there are some stuff as an offense you're going to be limited with him in terms of passing wise, but overall 55 points. I mean, you're not going to get much better than him there. Time for the running back position. In the Ravens' biggest move in the offseason was, of course, acquiring the Derrick Henry via free agency, and he is going to be their best, honestly, the best offensive player Lamar has been able to work with really ever, so that's awesome. He's second in the NFL in rushing yards last year with 1,100 yards, 280 carries, led the NFL. He wasn't exactly the same player last year, only 4.2 yards per carry, I get, but his offensive line was probably the worst in the league. The run block unit was a little bit better because they did penetrate somewhat well. Not great, but somewhat well, and they also were able to, again, not create big holes, but enough holes for Derrick. I don't think he was his the best form of himself last year, but again, he's getting older now. He's 30 at this point. Like, you can't exactly expect him to be like Derrick Henry from 2020, but Or even honestly 2021 to be completely honest there. But if he's anything close to that, this Ravens running game is going to be elite. I would be shocked if they didn't lead the league in rushing. Really, the only way that would really happen is if either Lamar or Derrick Henry got hurt. If either one got hurt, I can understand, but otherwise I really don't see how that happens. Justice Hill has always been a consistent and serviceable back. He had a big year last year, best year of his career for sure. Again, after kind of a rough 2019 where he just didn't really do a ton as, again, a starting back. Of course, he was injured 2021, but he's always been a solid guy, very agile, can break tackles pretty well, and also is a very reliable pass blocker for Lamar. He did a lot for this team last year. I think he's a very solid backup. Not like an elite backup by any means, but he can do the job well. Fine. Hey, Mitchell, speedster there. He obviously had that massive game against Seattle. What was it? Yeah, 138 yards on 9 carries is insane. He had like a 60-yard insane run. He had like a 40-yard touchdown. Like, Keaton Mitchell is just like the epitome of like a blazing speed change of pace back. Him and Derrick Henry, I think, will be bread and butter there. And then I just got the Rasheen Ali out of Marshall. He's a power back. He really has never shown the most explosive plays. But again, on the goal line, again, if one of these guys gets hurt, if he doesn't indeed make the roster, I think he will at least provide some sort of, again, oomph there behind Derrick if, again, he does get that case. Either way, though, running back, I honestly think I'll give them an A+. You might say, yes, Derrick Henry is not that good, but I think Justice Hill and Keaton Mitchell are perfectly fine backups for sure. And at the same time, guys, Derrick Henry's still a top 5 running back, and again, he was still really freaking good last year. Obviously, maybe not the same player again from a couple of years ago. He's probably obviously not the best running back in the league, but he's one of them, and honestly, I think it's an A+ is fair. A would be good too, but honestly, it doesn't really hurt giving that. That's 3, 6, what's it called? 9, 18, 27, and 36 points at running back. You know what? It's not the tier rankings. I really don't care. When we get to the running back tier rankings, you can moan about this, but honestly, the Ravens running back room is the best room group they've had overall, in my opinion, ever since what is called Lamar's been a Raven. Again, Derrick Henry just fitting in this offense is that good. I really don't care if, again, this isn't the same caliber. Oh, it's the same score as CMC. When we get to the tier rankings, you can argue with me then. But this is a fair assessment of the Ravens running back room because it's not just Derrick Henry. But A+ there. Now to the wide receiver core. Yep, the Ravens wide receiver core. Of course, you saw the pre-video last night for them, and yeah, this is just not the best group in the world. I'm telling you that right now. But Zay Flowers is their number 1, should be fine. Of course, last year as a rookie, had a very good year, 77 catches, 858 yards, 5 touchdowns. Obviously, the biggest thing, you've got to have patience with him. Again, he did have that fumble at the goal line. That loss really, again, clinched a loss in a lot of people's eyes against the Chiefs in that AFC Championship. But he was a very good player for them last year. Solid, his hands dirty in the run game. Run blocking game. Holy crap. But either way, he did a lot of stuff as well again as a receiver. Obviously, he was their number 1 guy. Played a lot of X. He's definitely better as a Z, though. He created a lot of separation, did a lot for Lamar overall, and Zay Flowers is really good there. And we'll see what happens, but a very solid rookie year for him. Rashad Bateman, he just hasn't done anything so far in his career. Yeah, he had a pretty promising rookie year overall, but ever since he just hasn't done anything. He hasn't been healthy as well for our team. Last year he was healthy, but he just didn't get many snaps. I don't know what they're trying to do with him, but rough year so far. Start to his career so far. Nelson Aguilar, brick hands, but I mean, he'll do some yak stuff. He'll be out there. I really like him as a 4th guy, but I mean, if you need him as a 3rd, I guess. He's really been the same player since he had that massive 2020 season, which again is by far the best year of his career so far. But I mean, we'll see what happens there. Tez Walker's very talented, but his athleticism, I think, is a little bit overhyped, and his route running is terrible. It's just not very good. Also, it's kind of rigid on what is called some of his deeper routes. Doesn't really create as much separation as you'd think. But yeah, very raw prospect. He still has a lot of potential, but I don't think he's as good of an athlete as you might have thought. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Very talented player overall. Talon Wallace, super good returner. I mean, I'd like to see him get involved a little bit more as a receiver. He really hasn't done much of that in his career, but he's out there to return, basically. Russell Gage, honestly, can move up in this depth chart. He really hasn't gotten a fair shot ever since that really ugly injury back in 2020. 2020. What year? Yeah, I think it was 2020. No, it wasn't 2020. What am I saying? 2022 got injured, and then he didn't play all of last year. And again, he was decent with the Bucks, but yeah, he was their number 1 receiver for the Falcons for most of 2021. So yeah, I mean, maybe he can get there. And yeah, Deontay Hardy's a really solid returner as well. Keith Kirkwood, I'd be surprised if he made the roster. Either way, that receiver, I'll give them a D+. I mean, I really don't think this is a good receiving core at all. Yeah, Zay Flowers is a decent number 1, but guys, is he better than who do we do? He's not better than there's a big difference between him and CeeDee Lamb. Rashad Bateman just hasn't done anything yet. This is a bad receiving core, guys. I don't think it's gonna really be the end all be all for this team, but it's not good. 9 points there. Now let's look at tight end. And for the Ravens tight end group, and again, I padded Greg Carr, who's the best run blocking fullback in the entire NFL. What is he, like 315? He played 300. He played what is it called, defensive tackle or nose tackle for them for a little bit. But yeah, he's a very good athlete. Either way, though, tight end, they have by far the best 1-2 punch at tight end in the entire NFL. I don't even think it's close. Mark Andrews, I don't think he was great last year. He probably would have went for 1,000 yards overall. Again, he was pretty serviceable for them in 2022. Obviously, nowhere close to that generational tight end year back in 2021 where he had 9 touchdowns and over 1,300 yards, which again is video game numbers for a tight end. But yeah, last year I think he actually got outplayed by their backup, who is Isaiah Likely, and I think he's a top half of the NFL tight ends, even though he is technically a backup. He is so good. Like explosive run blocker, impossible to tackle, fast, super athletic. Like Isaiah Likely's a freaking monster. Honestly, if Isaiah Likely outplays Mark Andrews again, I wouldn't be surprised if he took over the starting spot, or more of they split snaps next season, because he was that good last year. Like he absolutely outplayed Mark Andrews. Yeah, probably not though, because Mark Andrews is getting good. I think they signed him to a big contract. I don't know. Too much stuff going on. So what are we gonna say? Mark Andrews contract. Ugh. That was just a mess. Yeah, they gave him a big contract. So I don't know for sure, but Isaiah Likely's awesome. Charlie Kohler, I mean, he played a little bit last year, not a ton. Okay, I guess. Again, I like to see more out of him as well, because I think they're kind of wasting him there, but he's there. And they got Mike Riggerman. I'd be surprised me in the roster, because, I mean, guys, like, maybe they keep him. I don't know for special teams unit, but they got 3 tight ends. I really don't know why they wouldn't want to keep him. But yeah, tight end, I'll give them an A. Reason's not A+, I don't think Mark Andrews is a top 5 tight end. He's on the cost a bit for sure. You know what? Screw it. I'll give them an A+. They have 2 superstar tight ends, I guess, so honestly, that was stupid there. Either way, 24 points there. Now, time for the offensive line. And for the Ravens offensive line, of course, they do have a little bit of a makeshift groove. Obviously, their left tackle is Ronnie Stanley, who at this point I'm completely out on. He hasn't been really dominant, honestly, since that 2019 season. Really has never been able to stay healthy any of those years. And he's got, I mean, he was pretty good in 2022, but, like, last year just wasn't very good, like, performance-wise. And like, Ronnie Stanley just is so overrated, honestly, at this point. He's kind of an average player. Like, I'm completely out on him. Josh Jones, out of Houston, I mean, he's been around the league. I mean, like, I guess he'll be okay. I don't know, guys. He was pretty athletic there. He looked pretty athletic on film, but, like, that's probably about it. And his, his RAS score was pretty high, but it's realistic. He's kind of like a forgotten player there. Andrew Voorhees, I would be shocked if he was an average player. I mean, he wasn't terrible for Caleb Williams at USC, in terms of a guy who kind of, like, helped move the pocket, but as a run blocker, he's a complete, like, just mess. I hope he got better again. He was out the entire season. He had, like, some, like, ankle injury, like, a really bad issue. I hope he's better, but, like, you earned himself a spot, that's for sure. I do not know how to pronounce this guy's name really at all. He was good for Oregon, though, so that's good. Is it Malisa? I can't pronounce. I really cannot pronounce. He's got a super long name, too. But, yeah, he's pretty good there. Tyler Linderbaum, very, very, very impressive season last year. Again, pretty solid as a rookie, been really good last year. So, one of the better centers in the league. You got Nick Samak out of Michigan State. He was not good there. I mean, I'm kind of shocked he's in the league, but hey, good for him. Daniel Falele, he's a backup, in my opinion. Like, yeah, he's not great there. Pat McCarry, again, he plays every position. He's average overall, but yeah. Roger Rosengarten hasn't taken the step so far in camp to really prove himself as a starter. Ben Cleveland's going to be a pretty decent depth piece. Again, overall, the starters in this offensive line, they've got 2 really good starters. A guy would probably be average. The guard positions are just complete mystery. The depth in this offensive line isn't awful, though, but it's just kind of a mixed bag for me, so I'm honestly going to give them a C for their offensive line. They should be a pretty good running blocking unit because they're usually a good makeshift guys like that, but when it comes down to it, guys, their guard positions are just complete mysteries. Pat McCarry should be decent on the right side. Really, the only position you could like really count on, though, is center. The depth is decent, which I think will save it. I might just give him a C-, though, because I don't think this offensive line is going to do a great job this year. Not for the overall offensive grade. There we go, C-. That's going to be 8 points. Not good for this offensive line. Now, time for the overall offensive grade. And doing the math for this Ravens offense, there we go. We get 132 points for this offense, and that will put them in the B+ tier. Honestly, I think that is where they belong. This offense was really dominant at some points last year, and when it comes down to it, this Ravens running game, I would be shocked if they're not the best in the league. Like I said earlier, Lamar and Derrick Henry stay healthy. But overall, this offensive line just isn't very. It's not. I don't think it'll be super reliable this year. It's not really the same names you're used to seeing there. The depth isn't awful though. I just think will help them out a lot. And if guys step up like they've been able to do in the past, of course, with a really good offensive line coach, I think that is very possible for sure. Again, tight end, they got the best 1-2 punch in the league. Receiving core should be crap, but we'll see what happens. They still got a number 1, which is good. So B+ overall for the offense, though. That's all I got for them. Now let's get into this defense, of course, starting out with linebacker. And for this Ravens linebacking core, of course, they do have a very good starting linebacker. If you don't know him, his name's Roquan Smith. Yeah, he is a dominant run defender. Surprisingly reliable in coverage, even though, yeah, in 2022, he wasn't good for the Bears and wasn't amazing. He was a lot better with the Ravens. But a tackling machine, he's just, again, probably the best run defender in the entire NFL, honestly, in terms of value, considering he just plugs every hole and doesn't miss any tackles. And at 230 and at 6'1", he is really hard to get through. Roquan Smith is just a complete monster. No, it's not even like dipping into his intelligence and his beyond like earthly instincts. Either way, though, Trenton Simpson at the other side. He played a little bit last year. I think he did do a decent job. Yeah, overall. Again, the biggest thing with him is though he was drafted 3rd round at Clemson to replace Patrick Queen, which that's exactly what happened. So I think he'll be really good there. Chris Board, solid special teamer, really hasn't gotten a true opportunity to, again, really step in at really any point, but he's stuck on this team for a little bit just because of the fact that he is a good special teamer. Malik Harrison, interesting player, what is called for out of Ohio State. Another guy who's played a bit of special teams, but last year he stepped up a little bit. Again, they haven't really needed him as much, but he has a backup linebacker. You're not going to really have to ask for much more there. Deion Jennings and Josh Ross are both guys who are probably battling for a roster spot. Either way, though, they're at middle linebacker. It's a pretty solid group, to say the least. I'll give them an A-. The problem is, yes, Roquan Smith is probably the best overall linebacker in the entire NFL when it comes down to it. But Trenton Simpson, we still don't know if he's like going to be true good, but he should be fine. I'm going to give them an A-. Again, I don't really see why that can't be an issue there. 9-18, 27, and 30 points a linebacker. Now let's get into the defensive line and the pass rush. And looking at this Ravens defensive line, of course, first, they have, again, some pretty big names. First off, obviously, Justin Matabuke, who earned himself a huge contract after leading interior defensive linemen with 13 sacks, which is a huge number if you didn't know. He was always a talented player, but the biggest thing I think with him was he wasn't exactly consistent with his movement. Not exactly, again, the way he uses his hands, because I really think, again, he's obviously very, very violent hands overall. What I mean by that is basically, it's kind of just like watching him play, but every single time they, a guy with, like, using the description violent hands is, every time that they go for, again, a move, pass rush move usually, not always, but usually, it's always affecting the offensive lineman in a way that they have to compensate and go against it, and it's like overcompensation usually. So, kind of bad, it's kind of hard to, I guess, describe that way, but Justin Matabuke really, improved in his, like, path to the, guard or center, depending on what technique he was in, and that really helped him out a lot on his way to obviously massive year last year, and yeah, I don't know if he'll be the same player this year, but he's obviously very, very good. Bryant Washington kind of got bounced out of a starting spot because I don't think he, again, is the most really, like, impactful player at all. He really struggled to get off blocks last year. He got moved around a lot as well. But he does do a decent job as a run defender, at least being able to hold his ground. And again, doesn't get out-leveraged too badly, but there's a good chance he's a backup for a reason there. Decent depth piece, though, right now. Michael Pierce, really solid nose tackle. Again, 2021, 2022, really struggled to stay in the field. But last year, really solid, as a run supporter, because, again, that's what he does. Deidron Sennett, yeah, he's there. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of him. He didn't do much in Atlanta. Hasn't really done anything since. Travis Jones, I'm a huge fan of him, not just because he went to UConn, but also because he was really good last year. And I think he can step it up as well this year. I'd like to see him be a little bit more of a pass rusher, especially with Justin Matabuke, probably getting doubled a lot. And then, of course, you got Brent Urban there as well. He's always been a very valuable player. He's been around the league for sure a lot. But, again, last year actually probably his best year of his career, to be honest. So, yeah, good veteran there to help out there. Okay, for the defensive line, I think I'm going to give them a B. The reason is because I don't know, B+, I mean, because Michael Pierce and Justin Matabuke are top 10 in their positions for sure. Travis Jones, I don't know for sure yet, but I think he'll be really good. Again, he had a really solid year last year, and then they got some pretty decent depth as well. I think B+ is very fair. That's going to be 18 points. But now looking at the pass rush-wise, the defensive line, they're going to get more than just penetration. You got to realize that. They're going to actually get, like, consistent pressure with these three guys, which, again, is very hard to get from a lot of other teams. But in terms of these edge rushers, Odafe Owe, you kind of got to accept at this point that he's not going to be getting a million sacks because that's just not who he is. He is very good at setting the edge, though. Doesn't always get off blocks. Just is able to get in the way and make it really hard for running backs to get by him. His athleticism is unquestioned, and he also gets a lot of pressure. Just he doesn't get as many sacks, which I just think is how he plays. He's probably the most unlucky pass rusher of the past couple of years. But again, by no means he's a bad player. He had a really solid year last year for this team. Again, the biggest thing is I'd like to see him get a couple more sacks. We can kind of got to accept he's not going to be that type of player, but for a guy who's super athletic, again, super fast, super explosive off the edge, he gets a ton of pressure, and that's huge there. Again, he doesn't have like a ton of passer moves, but again, with that speed, that explosiveness, and again, the toolbox that goes at least 3 deep, he should be fine. Kyle Van Noy, he actually had a lot of 9 sacks last year. He's not a true pass rusher at all, though. Again, you see him dropping back in coverage and being more of, again, that flat zone guy, as well as the fact that, again, more of a run supporter. But, hey, he had 9 sacks. He's got a decent scissor move. Keep going with it, bro. David Ojabo, again, the biggest thing with him is his half-spin is super lethal. The past few years, again, he hasn't played at all. He's gotten injured. Like, it's rough. He hasn't been really healthy ever since that last game at Michigan. But I really hope the best for him getting healthy this year. But David Ojabo, kind of a mystery there, but he's a very talented player for sure. And obviously, you got Tavius Robinson on the other side, who is, I think he's a little bit underappreciated. He did a little bit for this team last year. Just, again, really didn't win much off the edge, though. Even with a guy who had a pretty decent bull rush, I think I'd like to see him use it a little bit more. And, of course, you got a decent Isaac, who, of course, was a big part of that Penn State defense last year. More or less as, again, kind of a hybrid. He wasn't really used as much as a pass rusher, but solid, he should be a solid run defender. Pretty decent pass rusher overall, but it's definitely not going to be the best. Again, I don't think Odafe Owe is going to be a true number 1, but, again, he's pretty consistent with pressure overall. Kyle Van Noy, your, again, starting edge rusher is not the greatest, though. I'm going to give this pass rusher a C+, and the reason simply is because, yeah, the interior is going to get a lot done, but you know, I'll give them a B-. So again, honestly, Odafe Owe I think can step it up big time. It's not like the pass rush rotation is terrible, really bad, but this might be a little bit generous there. But I think that is fair considering again what they've got going on should be good. 28 points though. Now let's look at cornerback. And a corner for the Ravens. They obviously have a group that is coming off a phenomenal season, to say the least. The depth, I'll tell you this right now, it's a little alarming. But obviously, their number 1 press outside man corner, of course, is Marlon Humphrey, who after a pretty bad 2021, honestly, the past years he's bounced back really nicely. Again, last year he got injured, which really sucks because he was playing awesome. But past years he's played really well, and again, he's one of the better corners in the NFL overall. I got behind him, I guess you got Kadar Hallman, who he's done decent in preseason. Again, he really hasn't been fantastic in his, again, the time he's played in the NFL, but again, he was good at Toledo. Kind of bounced around since then, though. But honestly, good special teamer. He'll do his job. On the other side, you got Brandon Stevens, who I think played last year. I don't think he's as good as his numbers might indicate. He actually got a pretty low rating, but he got beat actually pretty consistently. Average separation is not good, but that's kind of what you're going to get with him overall, so yeah, you got to kind of expect it. But in zone, he's very reliable, and again, he's not going to exactly get beat deep, which is good to see there. So maybe he might not be the best corner out there, but he's going to do a decent job overall. Jalen Armour Davis, he's not good. I'm just going to tell you that right now. He was really bad in 2022, a little bit better last year, but not good. He's also not really healthy either. Nate Wiggins, he has been he's been interesting during preseason, to say the least. His camp was pretty bad. I'm kind of sad about that because I really think he's got all the talent in the world. But yeah, that physicality and that really unwillingness to do anything against the run is going to be a little bit of an issue, but he's obviously phenomenal in coverage. I think his talent is off the moon. I think he could honestly be one of the best corners in the league, but let's see if we can get there. Trayvon Mullen, he really fell off a cliff last year, so I mean, maybe he makes the roster, but yeah, Nate Wiggins has to step it up, though. Like, again, it hasn't looked good. So that my evaluation on him might be, again, I kind of ignored some of this stuff because he's so good in coverage, but hey, step it up, bro, and stop being so complacent. Arthur Millette was really good in the slot last year. I would be surprised if he got knocked out this really early at all. He was just so hard to beat, really for any receiver. And he also is able to cut plays off really well. His instincts are really good. So Arthur Millette there in the slot. Hope he can continue his good play. Demarion Williams, actually, I don't know what to expect. We'll see what happens there. But either way, though, corner, it's pretty deep, again, but not the greatest group overall. I'll probably give them a B. The slot position and the fact, again, having Brandon Stevens there isn't, again, Marlon Humphrey, I would give them a B-, but I don't think, the problem is they just don't have guys who I think are super consistent. Nate Wiggins, honestly, he's got to step it up because, again, they could probably have, honestly, one of the better cornerback duos in the league if Nate Wiggins just, again, plays better, but we'll see what happens this preseason. But yeah, B- there. That's coming out to 6, 12, and 14 points there. Either way, though, now it's time for safety. And at safety for the Ravens, they have one of the best duos in the entire NFL. Of course, starting at strong safety, Kyle Hamilton, who was probably, honestly, the most disruptive defensive player in football last year. He had a 3-sack game against the Colts in Week 3, and he was elite in coverage. I mean, his, like, just ability to, again, read the play before it happens is second to none in the entire NFL, in my opinion. Also, yes, he's not going to be a true boundary corner like many thought he was coming out of Notre Dame, but again, he doesn't need to be that, and we've seen that the past years. He's been phenomenal playing in the box, moving around, matching up against these slot receivers, also being able to play just amazing. You cannot throw to where he is in zone. It's just going to either be a pick six or just a bad play. But again, biggest thing, he knows what's happening before it even happens. So Kyle Hamilton is just so good, elite. Eddie Jackson, he had a good 2022 before, again, he shot someone shot his foot in that game against the Jets. Again, he really was on just a steep decline after 2019. My dog's going crazy. But in 2023, I mean, he just wasn't good. I'm telling you right now. Jaquan Brisker kind of saved him in a lot of ways. He was not good at all. Like, pretty bad. Either way, though, you also have, obviously, Marcus Williams, but honestly, he's just a solid guy. You're not going to be, like, wowed with him by any means, but he's really bounced back, from his rookie season where he gave up that Minneapolis Miracle. But again, really solid there. He actually was really freaking good last year as well as a boundary guy. He wasn't really healthy last year, but I think, again, if he's healthy this year, I would not be surprised if he made the Pro Bowl. And you had, of course, Darius Washington, who has been, I mean, okay, but he hasn't really been on the field either. Kind of the healthy scratch for a lot of games as well. Not because he's bad, just because I don't even know. It's weird with him. But at safety, you got to give them an A. The reason it's not an A+ is I don't think Marcus Williams is like, you know what, screw it, I'll give them an A+, because, yeah, who cares? They got really good players at those positions. 9, 18, 27, 36, you get the point. Now, let's see how many points this defense accumulated. And doing the math, this Ravens defense, we have 30 plus 18 plus 28 plus 14 plus 36. That's going to give them 126 points, and it's going to put them in the B tier. Honestly, that's where they belong. Last year, this defense, again, with Mike McDonald, stepped it up big time. Their coverage was really freaking good. I get you want to give them higher than a B, but I don't think this pass rush is going to be anything otherworldly, and that's going to put a lot of pressure in the secondary, which I don't think is the best, true cover consistency. They can really, again, cover at that consistency for an entire season, really entire game. So that can run them into problems, but overall, they've got, again, an elite player at every single level of the defense, which it's going to help them out a lot, so B for the overall defensive grade. Now, let's get into special teams unit. How deep are the Ravens, which they're usually pretty deep, telling you that right now. And obviously, what are the 2024 Ravens going to look like? Alright, Ravens special teams unit is pretty self-explanatory. Justin Tucker is the best kicker in the NFL history, in my opinion. Jordan Stout is just a complete, huge leg. Is Jack Browning Jake Browning's brother? I would not be surprised if that's true. Is Jack Browning Jake Browning's son? What in the world? I don't know. Browning's a popular last name. Either way, though, Deontay Hardy's a really good returner. Town Wall's also a really good returner, so you know they got a pretty good special team unit when that's the case. And Nick Moore, what is it? Yeah, he's been in the league the third year only. That's crazy. Either way, though, for the Ravens special teams unit, it's going to be an A. There's some stuff that isn't great, but I mean, that touchdown they gave against the Texans was pretty bad. But 3, 6, 9, and 11 points. Okay, depth. Quarterback depth. Not good, D. You don't want Josh Johnson starting. I'll just tell you that right now. Running back depth. I'll give that a B-. It's not the best in the world, but it'll get it done. So right now we're probably at a C. Wide receiver depth, probably a D+. I mean, there's worse receiving depth, but it's not, again, not very. I think a D+ is there. So we're probably at a C- for the offensive depth so far. Tight end depth, A+. We're probably at a B. No, we'll give them a B-. And then O-line depth, B. Probably the B so far. No, B-. B- for this offense. Linebacker depth, I'll give that a C+. It's not great. It's not terrible. Defensive line depth, I'll give that a B. So, what did we say? We said a B-, and then so far here we're probably at a B- as well. Pass rush depth, I'll give that a C. It's not great. C+, though. Cornerback depth, B-, so we're probably still at a C+. Safety depth, I will give an, honestly, what am I giving them? Honestly, I'll give them a C+ as well. So C+, B-, B- for the depth in the Ravens. They're not as deep as they have been in the past, to be completely honest with you guys, but with some of the additions they make, I don't think this will be a big issue. 12, 24, 28 points. And for their identity, offensively, they're going to run the crap out of the ball, and this offensive line's going to have to do a decent job pass protecting. Otherwise, I think they'll be fine. Yeah, the receiving core is bad, but Tez Walker, again, if they work him into the offense, he should have a big year, honestly, if he really does break out. And obviously, you got Zay Jones there as well. So, not Zay Jones, Zay Flowers. Holy crap. Alright, defensively, though, it's pretty simple. This Passers has to win their one-on-ones, and again, the linebackers in the secondary will do a really good job in coverage, so I'm not really concerned about that. And also being disruptive and forcing turnovers is something that, again, I think will be a big part of this defense as well. Losing Mike McDonald, their defensive coordinator from last year, I think will be a big issue, though, so that could arise some problems. But, again, usually they're fine. I'll give them a B-. The biggest thing, I think, is if John Harbaugh's message, again, with their culture does get stale, because look, they've gotten really close a couple of times, and they just haven't been able to finish it off. So he's not really in the hot seat, but yeah, John Harbaugh needs to start at least he needs to do something pretty good this year. 35 points though, B- for the overall identity for the Ravens. Now let's see what this overall roster grade is to finish out the finale. And doing the math here, we got 11 plus 28 plus 35 plus 126. There we go, plus 132. And that will give the Ravens 332 points. And I'm going to tell you right now, that's an A- for their overall grade, because that is the exact same total that the Browns got yesterday. So, A-, 332 points for the overall Ravens roster grades. Obviously, they're not as deep as they've been in the past, but getting Derrick Henry, I think, will really put a good wrinkle into this offense. As well as the fact, again, with a guy like Zay Flowers is a true #1, will, again, go a long way as well. But, honestly, it's pretty simple. The Ravens just got to do what they did last year, which, again, it's kind of hard to do, obviously. But, hey, maybe the same opportunity. Good luck to the Ravens 2024. Yeah, tier week starts tonight. Let's go, guys. The season's coming down to the wire. Let's go.